Here it is.
Thanks, man.
What was it before?
It was just like an afro before.
Yeah, it's kind of like a small afro, right?
Yeah.
It's an afro.
And now I cut it on the side. Yeah. So I guess.
That's awesome. Looks good, man.
Thanks, man. I like it. I always like your hair because you always have that.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I was like, "Are we gonna be a cameraman?" Because I'm kind of bummy today.
No, it's cool, man.
And I was like, I gotta put on some clothes.
That's cool. All right, so I guess for the people at home, what is your name?
My name is Johnny Lee, aka DJ Blaze, aka Johnny Blaze.
So do you represent any crews in the Atlanta area?
Representing Goya. It's only 4 of us, but we're all spread out. Oreo's in the military. Dustin's, he's around. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do in life. And Varsity, he's in California.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined them, I think, about 2 years ago before we did Deuces Wild 10. And I joined them because Goya stands for Get Off Your Ass. And then I like that. And then they were always around. We've been throwing jams. This next year will be the 10th year we throw Deuces Wild. When I say we, I mean me. But my family helps a lot. And then so, yeah, I joined Goya about 2 years ago, and I like it because it stands for Get Off Your Ass.
So Get Off Your Ass. You've been throwing jams for years.
Yeah, we've been throwing jams. The first one I threw was I think 2007. Yeah, the first one I threw was 2007. It was in Athens, and I was going to school up there. I was going to UGA, and then the bar owner would see me and some of my friends break when I was DJing there, and then he would ask us to throw an event, and then we threw the first Deuces Wild out there, and then a few people, about 200 people showed up, and then it was awesome. And then so I've been throwing jams ever since. This year's been kind of lacking, just because I got married and I just bought this house.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I enjoy throwing the jams and been doing this. Next year will be 10 years. It'll be the 10-year anniversary for Deuces Wild, and I haven't even started planning that. I kind of started, and then life happens, and then I'll just have to pause it and put it on hold. But it's in here. I just got to get it out.
Yeah. So I guess so eventually I want to work up to now, but before you were a DJ and a breaker. So which one of the two came first?
Breaking came first. First time I think I've always kind of saw a little bit of breaking on TV and movies in here, and then every time you see it, it just excites you. And then I'm pretty sure every breaker is like that, they're just thirsty for it. And then so when I started breaking, I was in the officially breaking, knowing what I was doing, because I would just kind of mimic what I saw in videos beforehand. And then one of my friends, I met him in 9th grade, and he gave me this video. It was called Beats and Pieces, and it was a breaking video from Texas. It was on VHS, so that was when it was. And so I'd come home every day after school, turn on that video, and just pause it, and then just slow-mo some of the moves, and you're just like, what the, what are they doing? And so then the internet was, I think the internet had already gone out, but I was always slow on the curve and never really getting online. My parents didn't have internet access, and I'd come over to one of my friends who we considered rich at the time, and he has internet, and I was like, yo, look up breaking moves, and then we would look up moves, and it was like, step 1, do this, step 2, and
was
then
it on YouTube, or was it?
No, it was on, it was written, it was on a forum, so it would just be written out, typed out, people would type out these things from all around the world. I can't remember what the site was it breakdance.com?
B-Boy World?
No, it was before that. It was even the B-Boy World was coming around in that time too, but it was another thing called
B-Boy.org?
No, I think it's breakdance.com.
Oh.
I'm not even sure. I don't know. You can look that up and see if it's out there. But so that's what I would do. I'd go home and then had a video, and then I'd go. But the video was all I had, so I'd just slow-mo that and just kind of bite everything that I saw. And then I had nothing to show for it. I wouldn't be able to compete or anything because I didn't know of any jams, or I didn't know there was other people out there like me. You know, I was the only one, and I would try to convince my brother, you know, Frost, to break with me, but he was like into video games and he didn't really care, and so it was just me, and I was practicing every day after school, and my mom saying that I was gonna break my neck, and you know, I just loved it, and I would record myself a lot, you know, like, and just record myself to see how it looked, and then you know, just use one of my dad's old tapes and just keep recording over that same one, so I don't record over any home videos or anything.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, and then just started getting into that, and then Beats and Pieces, and all the guys from Texas, and it was just awesome. You didn't know who they were, but then if you saw them anywhere else, like then when I started going to jams, it was probably when I started driving, and so 10th grade, and I would sneak out at night, you know, and just go out to just events. I think I really can't recall the first event, but some of the first events I've been to were either thrown by Georgia Tech or Georgia State people. And that was when I was actively member in the breaking scene, which was probably like senior year of high school, and then so forth, and then really active like freshman year of college, and then really active through college. Oh yeah, actually, one of the first jams. It wasn't even a jam. This is what it was. It was at the Atrium. So then, you know, you would sneak out and go to the Atrium on the weekends, and there was all these big Asian parties, and then you'd come out, and then you would see like your flyers on your car. So you, as you're throwing them away, you know, you kind of have tunnel vision when you're a breaker. You like anything break related, any kind of, you just hear it, you kind of perk up. So then people are throwing out flyers off our car, and then I saw, oh crap, $100 breaking contest, you know, and then first time I saw it, and this is at the Atrium, and so all my friends, nobody break. My best friend, him and I would study the videos, but he kind of just left me hanging, didn't really pick up breaking, and so we'd show up, and then we'd stay there all night at the club all night, and they would never do. I guess they used the $100 thing just to pull people in. Mm-hmm. And then right at the very end, when everybody's drunk and tired, they're like, all right, we're going to have the breaking contest, you know. And I remember I was so nervous, man, just going up there, you know. And then I met a bunch of people to this day. I'm still friends with Bruce. I met at one of those events. So, yeah, those were like the first events that I went to that actually involved breaking, but they weren't jams, you know. They were just a party, and then they would pull out some party tricks, and then... And when I went to first jams, it was like Under the Couch, some of the Georgia State jams, Kool-Aid, Sacco. You don't know Kool-Aid and Sacco, do you? They were they really did a lot of events. I mean, Doe knows them, Quick knows them. Everybody. I don't know if they mentioned them in the other interviews. They didn't mention them.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around. Kool-Aid and Sacco, they're still around. They're definitely. They're not doing. Breaking events or anything. He's married. They're married. Kool-Aid and Sacco, they married each other, and I think they have 2 kids now. And I just follow them on Facebook, and every once in a while we invite each other to events, but we never make it to each other's events. I know they've come out to a couple of jams. I know they come to a couple Buckshots, a couple Deuces Wild. But one of the first like jams where I think I made, maybe in my mind, I thought I did better than you know, and it was a Georgia State jam, and they did a 3-on. Was it 3-on-3? Yeah, it was a 3-on-3, and then they did two breakers and 1 popper, and it was me and my brother, and then David Lamb. He was hanging out with Burn Unit a lot, and then that was one of the first like official jams that I went to, because I had to work when I was in college all the time, so I never was able to make it to the jams unless it was like a dollar jam that would go late into the night, or one of Zapper's jams, because Zapper's jams go 30 late. You know, so I could only make it to those jams. So the ones that were during the day, we would never get to. And I remember I begged my parents. My parents had a business, and I begged them to let us go to that event. And we went there, and you know, it's just, you know how jams go. It's just a couple hours of warming up and just kind of being kind of friendly with people, and then it's game time, and then you're like trying to compete. And so that really had an effect on me. I remember they had this DJ Shorty. You know DJ Shorty. She's this female DJ. She's awesome. She had these scratching videos, and yeah, they used her at the event, and I just really liked the quality of what they were trying to do, and it really, really inspired me. So every time I see them, if I see them, I see Zap, I see Nicole from Burn Unit. You never met Nicole from Burn Unit?
I met her. Is she black? She always have like the.
Yeah, Burn Unit always wears black.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's the white girl on it, the white girl on the crew.
I've never met her.
You're talking about Vendetta. You're thinking about Black Girl.
Vendetta.
Yeah, Vendetta's awesome too. Vendetta I definitely have a lot of love and respect for Vendetta as well. They've always supported Deuces Wild, and they come out to Buckshots. But I know I might be taking credit away from somebody else as well. So if I apologize, but I remember Nicole was highly involved in like the Dollar Jam. Mm-hmm. They would just get their school to give them an area, and it was a really cool area. It had couches, and then you just pay $1 and get in there, and they would get Papa John's to sponsor it, Red Bull to sponsor it.
Yeah, Red Bull to sponsor it?
Yeah, well, Red Bull would come out and give free drinks. I don't know if they through the event, but I know that they would come by, and kids, we love that.
Yeah.
It's like free pizza, free Red Bull.
We got free Red Bull one time.
Yeah.
I never put it together through a jam like that.
Yeah, who did that? God. But I just remember Kool-Aid, Sacco, Nicole, they really cared about the event. Mm-hmm. And, everybody else, I'm sure everybody who throws jams really cares about the event and the culture. And so seeing them and how much work they put into it, and just seeing that I never even thought I was going to throw events. It just came out, to me, it came out of a necessity, like staying out late and stuff, because my brother is 3 years younger than me, so every time I went to a jam, they're like, take your brother with you, well, you must be up to no good, trying to leave your brother behind, so I would have to bring my brother, and then eventually it grew our relationship. We break together a lot, and he wasn't allowed to stay out, my parents, you'd go to these jams, and you would hang out all day, really, and then you would compete, and then you'd have to wait to get the results.
Yeah.
And sometimes, people show up late. You can't start a jam if nobody's there. Mm-hmm. But then if you don't start on time, then you're going to be going to late night. So it's really hard, because the culture it's still, it's been around for a while, but it's not structured, right? And so people will be like, I'll go to that. Well, they start late anyways. I'm just going to show up late, and then that's the mentality of everybody thinking that way, and then it does show up late, and so we would stay out at these jams or events or breaking contests, and then my parents would be calling me, or the next day, I don't think I even had a cell phone. I remember the next day, they would just be, bitching at me for keeping my brother out so late, and then over time, I remember we made it to. We never made it through top 16, but you'd always try to, and then you would always think so. So I remember a few times we'd had to wait around till top 16, and my parents are blowing me up like, "Get your ass home, get your little brother home," So that's where the real necessity of me throwing jams that would, hopefully be over by 10. That's the goal, but it usually drags out till about midnight, So that's. I would say that's the sole purpose. I was in love with it, and then I felt there was a necessity for people my age or people younger than me, or people who have kids or people who have other things to go on, because you go to other events. If you go to a kendama event, I've DJ'd several kendama events, and
it's on time.
Yeah, it's during the day, man. You can still do stuff at night, you can still have a life, but a lot of jams are just. I think the bigger ones, of course, it's going to be an all-day event. I'd love to be there all day at a bigger event, but just for a homegrown jam, I think that the time and location has a lot to do with the success of it. From my experience being out here. So I don't know where I was going. I think I just took that question.
No, that's great. That's great. That's what we're looking for. The history of it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. What else do you want me to talk about?
So I guess, as you were coming
You want
up,
any water?
Oh, I'm okay.
Okay.
But thank you. I might get some after the video.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you were coming up, there was your parents, and then there's, working. Mm-hmm. So, as you transitioned from high school to college to working to now being married,
Mm.
what kind of barriers have you seen, like, kind of not detract from your breaking, but just like, I don't want to call them barriers because it's a successful thing that you're doing these things, but like, as your life becomes more complicated, how does breaking fit into that?
Yeah, that's something I ask myself every day. Like I ask that every day. Like there's times when I come home and I talk to my wife and I'm like, man, I've become a grown up. You know, like I got a mortgage now, and you know, like I'm married, and so I do think about throwing jams and music or in general. You know, and then I ask my wife sometimes like, have I reached that point where I need to let this stuff go? Like, it's the point, you know. I told my wife, I said, I don't think I'll ever write another song or try to do, you know, because all I do is work. I'm a realtor, and then I play weddings on the weekends now. You know, I've become, I think, the man, or part I'm becoming it. I don't know, but you know, like so. I think I ask that all the time, and then my wife's like, "No, you love it. You're never gonna let it go. Why do you keep saying that?" And I think as you get older, you spread yourself so thin. When you're younger, you know, I remember when I was in love with breaking in high school, all I would think about was breaking. You know, you're doing homework and you're just writing little break sketches, and you're drawing this and that, and you can't wait to get home so you can practice. And then, but then you also had kids' responsibilities, school, your parents, your younger siblings, if you're, you know, just things that would take you away from that. But you always come back to it because you're in love with it. Then when you get to college, you're like, no parents, no siblings. So then all you could think about is breaking. So like that's all I thought about when I was in college. I think that was when it was worst. It was at its worst when I was just. And then we had in college. I remember Tommy Valentine, and he's not part of the breaking scene, but he was part of the hip hop scene in Athens, and he would throw a Monday night group session. So he'd have rappers come out, DJs come out, breakers come out, and so he'd invite all the breakers come out, and we'd get in there free, and we'd just break all night, you know. And so it was something we really looked forward to. So then, you know, college, that was all I thought about, and that was when I threw my first jam, was when I was in college. And so there was really no barriers, but I felt that I feel maybe a lot of breakers feel this way too, that they really enjoy it, and like every breaker, I think, wants to be the best. You know, you go in there and like, you don't want to. I mean, I'm sure some people's like, I just want to learn to move in peace, you know. And I've had some friends that were like that, you know, and that's all they got out of it. But people who are actually in love with it, they want to take it to another level, and they want to see that the next person take it to another level. So a person who wants to be at that level, they have to sacrifice everything else. I think the ones that I've seen, that I've been around, the ones that are performing on that high of level, they have to sacrifice. Just same as a realtor. Like a realtor performing on that level, be the top higher, he has to sacrifice a lot of things, you know. So as a breaker, have to sacrifice a lot of things, you know. I would say money, one of those things.
Yeah.
Maybe even some relationships, you'd have to sacrifice, you know. I'm sure a lot of breakers, and I only have a male perspective, has had a girlfriend who's like, why you always hang out with the guys, you know, like, why do you gotta come practice all the time? It's like, because that's what I like to do, you know, like, peace. And, you know, I've had girlfriends who are like that too, you know, but I'm very fortunate to have a wife who understands what I do and who I am and what I love, you know.
Yeah.
And so going back to that, if you're performing at that high level, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, you know. So going back to the detractors, I wanted so much in college. I wanted girls, I wanted to go out and party, and I wanted this and that, but I also wanted breaking. So when you split yourself up that much, you can only give fractions, you know what I'm saying? So I felt the farther I went along in breaking, and as all my peers and people around the world are getting so much better, you're like, I gotta quit. You know, it's like, there's no way, you know, and then your confidence level goes down and down and down and down and down. Then the less you practice, when you go to jams, you go to ciphers, you're not even jumping in the ciphers. Well, that's what I caught myself doing. And so I was like, okay, so how can I use the energy, because I still have the love for the breaking, but it's not as strong where I want to be a competitor. You know, I don't want to compete because I just physically can't do that. I don't have the time to practice in that. But that's when I was like, I'm very organized, so maybe I could contribute to the breaking scene in a different way. you know. So that's when I started like throwing the jams and just trying to get that better. So, you know, after college, then what do you got to do? You got to make something of yourself. You got to make money, right? So throwing jams is not making you any money. That's not making you money. When I threw, it was at Discover Mills when we threw the workshop with Tayo, Flexum, and Paco. You know, I lost so much money in that workshop. Like, I was fresh out of college, first of all, and I think I lost like $2,500. That's a lot of money for, I think, anybody, but especially fresh out of college. And that was when my ex was like, I don't know if I'm going to stick with you if you keep doing this shit. You know, what are you going to make yourself? You need to make a job. You need to make some money. How are you going to support me and this and that? And when all you do is give out to these people that don't even appreciate it. You know, that's what I get a lot, but I know that's not the case, you know. Definitely people like you know, like, and everybody I see, you know, they love the event. But going back to that, detractors, I come home, and then we were practicing on Thursday nights. I'm talking about present time, and I was practicing with Lost in the Gym on Thursday nights, but they have their own lives, and they're going to school, and, you know, one canceled practice goes to another canceled practice. You know what I mean? And it just keeps going like that, and those are very, very real detractors. But I also think that the lack of jams, the lack of events, quality events, is also a detractor from our scene as well. Because other than that, if you're not practicing, you know, when I was younger, I would practice just to learn the moves. So, all right, so when I get to show these moves, when you go to a party, I'm 15, I don't party, you know what I'm saying? So when am I show? Oh, I can do it at a talent show, right? And then so most kids are probably going to do it at a talent show. But other than that, you're going to practice for that talent show. When that talent show's over, what are you going to practice for? So that's why I kept and it was a snowball effect. One jam through to another. I remember people were like, "What? You're throwing another one?" And I'm like, yes, because I didn't lose money on this one. And you know, so and then people still showed up. Every single jam, people still showed up, and so I think the lack of community and lack of events is also a detractor as well. Because other than that, if you're not practicing for an event, what are you going to practice for, you know, for yourself? I mean, I guess that'd be good, but you still got to show those skills. Even an artist wants to show his work eventually, you know? So that's something is definitely a detractor, and I feel, you know, people who are still throwing jams, Quick, Zap, they didn't throw did they throw loose screws this year?
I think they did.
They did throw loose screws
I
this
believe
year?
so.
I thought they didn't, but I just haven't been paying attention, I guess. But other than that...
He threw Deuces in February this year.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was one.
Yeah, I don't think there was, because I remember I asked him last year, because, you know, I try to stay pretty... I don't want to be my event take away from somebody else's event. I don't want somebody else's event take away from mine, so I try to plan. And I definitely asked the bigger guys who were throwing the events. So I asked Zapper about this time last year if he was throwing one in the January, February, because that's when they usually do it, and he said no, so that's why we took it, and we did it in January. So, going back on that, yeah, man, life happens. I got married, I got to buy a house. I mean, breaking and throwing events is not going to pay for this house and my car, so, yeah, that's definitely a major detractor is growing up. Like, it's, you know, like, it's called B-boy. You know, I wish it was called something else, but B-man doesn't sound very good, but B-boy sounds cool, man, because I remember as a kid, you know, growing up, you're like, man, I'm a B-boy for life. You know, like, that's something, and I think that's true. I think anybody who's actually been in the scene and gone through to the events and really, a really member of this, the culture is going to be like that. They're going to be like B-boy for life. Anytime, anything that has to do with breaking is going to stop somebody right in their tracks if they have a true love for it, you know? So, yeah, life is the biggest detractor of breaking. Shout out to all the breakers who perform on that level, you know? I got a lot of respect for them. There's a lot of dedication and heart that goes into it, you know, to learn these moves to create your own style, to innovate and take the basics and make something new of it, because I go, I mean, I'm forever in love with it. I mean, every morning I wake up, first thing I do is roll over and try to look at videos. I'm sure a lot of breakers are the same way. You get those videos to get you going in the morning. Yeah, man, I can't think of any other detractors. Just life, and it maybe like the love for it that I have for it is not as strong, and I have to admit that. Just I feel like there's just when it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's that 30-something-year-old talking in me. It's just like it's oversaturated. I don't know. I really don't. But it's just yeah, man. Just wanting other things. I don't think a b-boy just wants to be a b-boy. Maybe that's
some
it.
people
Yeah.
that
So
are
yeah,
really...
actually, yeah. Maybe I would love to be just a b-boy. That'd be awesome if I could afford all this and. Just break, that would be great, but that's just not the case for me, and what I'm doing right now is just to hope to inspire. When we're doing these events, I want this feeling of that event to last until the next event, and then if I'm throwing an event one time a year and then nobody else is throwing an event in between, and it goes back to my head, it's just going to rise.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, and then it goes back down, and then the year comes around, and right before it, 3-4 months before, you have to promote 3 months out at least, and then it starts building up, and then you have a good event, and then it goes all the way back down, and then you wait for the next one, and everybody's getting older, and,
There have been some newer promoters now. Like, Taj is doing stuff, Jenna's doing stuff. Jenna threw one at Andretti's, and that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. They threw it. Where did they do the event at?
Jenna does hers and Andretti's. Taj is starting to do his. Like, he teamed up with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's doing events now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it's really cool to see that. And I try to throw like one every semester.
Are they breaking events, or are they all styles and then breaking events?
So with Georgia Tech now, it's like all styles and breaking. With Taj's, it's all styles and breaking. Jenna, all styles and breaking. And then with KSU, it's like strictly like breaking. But then we had it's been strictly breaking, because the last one we threw was like buckshots, and that's the one you helped out with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really that makes me happy to know people are still throwing jams. But on another note, not to take away from Taj or Jenna or anything, but I think a lot of breakers will agree that breaking is it's different from all the other dances. You know what I'm saying? Like, breaking, you can actually battle. I know all styles. We throw the buckshots, and then we have a all styles contest, because we do definitely recognize the all styles scene, and it also helps with numbers when you're throwing a jam. Because the breaking is it's limited, especially in the local scene. But I just feel, not to take away from the other promoters or anything, but I think to throw a really
Dope break event?
I think so. You have to be part of the scene, like part of the breaking scene. I think so. I just definitely think so. It's like,
find good judges.
Yeah, you formulate it for us. Like, not take away from the other guys or anything. It's just, and I appreciate that they're doing the work and everything. But I think a lot of breakers will agree that if you go to an event and it's not thrown by a breaker or somebody who at least knows the scene, it'll feel like that.
Yeah, it gets thrown on the back burner.
Yeah, it gets thrown in the back. You see what I'm saying?
Do all styles prelims, then breaking.
Yeah, and then breaking. And then so I'm sorry, but I just don't go to those events unless if I know it's going to be like thrown by a breaker or somebody I know. And I love Taj, and I've seen his events online too, and I was like, wow, it's a great great show up, turnout and everything. But I also know that breaking's on the back burner of that, and that's what and when I do something, I want breaking to be number one, So that's the difference, I think. And eventually those guys will get better. They stick with it, and it'll get better and better and better and better, and that's the only way you can go. But as far as breaking events in Atlanta, there's not
It's not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna tell me?
I guess like. So they're ramping up for loose screws, but there aren't a lot of like strictly breaking events.
Oh.
Now, there's one lady, she came up from Florida. She helped throw like she helped throw like monthly jams down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called Catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another guy named Kadif who came up from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Kadif is doing is every Friday at Waba, he's got freestylers coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and then like breakers come out. So Min has a space for people to break.
Oh yeah, Min's awesome too.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
KSU, we have a space for people to break every Monday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Emory's got space for people to just break every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So now if breakers want to break, they got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then with jams, lady Temesis, what she's doing is like she's throwing the jam. She throws a monthly hip hop jam, like for rappers.
Is she friends with Quick?
Yes, she is.
Oh, her husband's name is Scott Free?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I met them.
Yes. And
Yeah, yes, they're definitely a great asset to Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
I definitely want to shout them out there.
I'm glad they came, and they're
Yeah.
organized. Like
Mhm.
they're not just like I've seen like some events start like 2 hours late, 3 hours late, even 4 hours late.
Mhm.
Like they're very like on top of
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. They're having some structure in it. You know, they have a formula. You know,
Yeah.
even Deuces Wild and Buckshots has a formula. After I lost, a couple $1,000s on an event, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. You know, like you're like, whoa, should I throw another event? But then you just go back and just recalibrate everything, and then try to make it better. You know. So yeah, just going back on the promoters and stuff. Yeah, it's a hard job, and I'm glad some other people are doing it. I guess I haven't been doing my homework and seeing who's been throwing the events, but as far as just breaking events, I don't really see that many. And it sucks because the way I look at it, it's like, oh, it's competition and this and that,
Yeah.
But also, that's why I threw Buckshots, because that was based on the dollar jams over at the Under the Couch. They were just charging $1. Of course, they got the venue from the school, where I have to pay for the venue out of my pocket, you know.
I still go to KSU.
Oh, yeah.
Free venue.
Oh yeah,
I graduate this semester.
Well, actually, after the last one we did up there, I was like, it wasn't as good of a turnout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, it's location.
Mm-hmm.
It's location, man. Like
Yeah.
most of the breakers or active breakers are going to be toward the north side of Atlanta. Most of the actions northern side of or northeast. So that's what I really think it was, because we've thrown jams where we charge $5 and then it's packed out,
Yeah.
and then
That
we
was
gave it for free, and then it was like, what happened here? Like,
Yeah.
you and I worked on that for a minute, so it's definitely, like I said, location. I think people were, it's like, they didn't want to drive up 75 to go up there, or rides. I mean, this is a young culture, most people, I think, are between 12 and 30, right?
Yeah.
I would say so. So yeah, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Okay. I guess so are you gonna continue throwing jams?
Yes. Yes, and I am going to continue throwing jams. I purposely did not take on gigs this November, December, DJ gigs, and I purposely didn't take on any newer clients, just so I can clear my head and focus on putting Deuces Wild back up for next year, since it's the 10-year anniversary. And also, I was talking to Min about throwing a Buckshots there, or a toy drive or something. We were supposed to do it on November 27th, but that's my fault. Today's the 11th, so it's not going to go down. We're in 16 days out, so I think it could work, and it's for a good cause, and if we promote it right, but I just don't think it's right. I got to call Min back right after this, because we were supposed to put out the flyer like this week, but I don't think it's going down. I'm gonna have to see if I have any time in December, and which I will have some time. I'd like to throw Buckshots, and then a Deuces Wild, maybe in the spring. I know Bashville is I think in March, right? And so I'm just not throwing jams in the summer anymore. Not in Georgia.
There's not a lot of people.
It's too hot. Any venue that you rent, like any venue you rent, you're gonna have to. They're gonna be cheap on you, and they're gonna like not even if they're not cheap on you. Those machines, those AC units. We're in Georgia, 90, 100-degree weather with humidity.
Yeah.
And then people are trying to break, and this AC units are breaking. I've thrown jams for 10 years, and so I finally caught on to not throw jams in the summertime, especially if they're going to be over 200 people.
But
If you're
with like the youth, that's the one time they
yeah,
have
and
free time.
that's the problem. See, the youth that's when you can show up, but I just never found a venue who can support that. We've rented gymnasiums and people are in there sweating, and then the ground doesn't dry up fast enough. You're mopping up the ground. There's a lot of challenges.
I might know a place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think I can get it for free too.
Oh, at KSU?
No, it's not at KSU. It's at it's in Sandy Springs. No, it's in Smyrna. It's still in Atlanta.
What's it called?
It's called The Space.
The Space?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds familiar. You can get it for free?
Yeah, because I work there. I teach
nice.
breaking there.
Oh, how many people can it fit?
You can fit probably 200 easy.
200? Yeah. Well, I like that church that we did the last Deuces while
Yeah.
because you can fit about 350 in there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that church, and so again, I don't know what I'm gonna do or where I'm gonna do it, but it might be at the church, and then do buckshots at men's Waba replay area, which is awesome. I think what Min's doing is amazing. I think he definitely has a love for that gaming and dancing.
He's got gaming tournaments over there.
Yeah, I was just talking to him last week, and we were just talking. I don't want to talk about his personal life, but we were just kind of sharing stories about how
it's difficult.
It's difficult. It definitely is. You have people, looking at you like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you're losing money, and you're not getting anything back from it. What are you doing?" So I've had those conversations with some people that really care about me, and I just got a lot. I don't know much about Min, actually. I just saw him, and then I went to one of his events, or they had a workshop over there, so I talked to him, and we talked at the beginning of this month and about throwing another buckshots, but I don't think it's going down. Not on that date. It'll probably be back in December. So Deuces Wild 10-year anniversary next year.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to pull this off, man. I'll definitely see if I can get you to help me out. That's a problem that I have, is
reliable people to help.
Yeah, I rely on a lot. That's how I learned how to DJ, and that's how I learned how to MC. I learned how to...
You can MC?
I learned how to work on this house. Because people would promise me they would help me and not show up. You know? And so I just took on everything on myself and learned how to do things on my own.
Yeah.
So that's a curse and a blessing at the same time,
Yeah.
But I got to get better about that. I got to get better about leaving things to other people and letting things mess up, because that's how you're going to learn. I mean, it's the only way you're going to learn.
If you need help with Deuces Wild 10, I got you.
Yeah. It's actually Deuces Wild 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary, because we just did 10.
We did 10.
Yeah, it's 11.
Yeah, it's actually 11, but we're just going to label 10-year anniversary, because there was some years where, I was in college, dude. That's all I thought about was breaking, so I could throw like 2, 3 events in a year. It's not happening anymore, so I think Deuces Wild would be one time a year, and hopefully I can get buckshots at least twice a year.
Yeah.
So then we can have at least 3 breaking events you can look forward to in the Atlanta scene during the year. Let me see. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's everything for now.
I think. Is there any other questions you asked about the other guys?
So it's like, what got them in the breaking? You answered that. Mm-hmm. It's like, where do you see the scene going?
Oh yeah, the Atlanta scene going.
Like the Atlanta scene and then the bigger scene.
Oh man, the Atlanta scene. I have a lot of hope for the Atlanta scene. That's the reason I throw these events. I love Atlanta, and I love breaking. But then I meet people. There's times when I meet other guys and we're like, this is going to shit. This isn't going anywhere. And we're like, this is bad. But then guys like you, Oreo, Taj, not many of you guys, But the guys that I see, there's the ones that I see, I see
Jeff.
a lot of potential.
Jeff at Georgia Tech.
Oh yeah, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff. He's throwing housing and popping events.
And
yeah.
they do like 3. They do like the Summit, which is like the
that's
Dollar
awesome.
Jam. That
Most
one's
definitely.
free
Shout out to
too.
Jeff too. He's a nice guy. I've talked to him a few times. I think the local scene is going to stay the same. I feel like it's going to stay the same unless more of us get involved.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be this events here and there, and then it's going to die back out. But I'm not actively going to every single dance event. I'm just talking about breaking. You know, you're talking. I don't like to group just breaking with everything else because it's not. You know, like so. As far as breaking, we don't have anybody. You. You're the future, right? I mean, as far as breaking goes, because I was really the reason I joined Goya because I was like, oh, great, these guys are young, energetic, and maybe I could have them help me throw the jam, which they would. But Oreo's out of town; he's in the military, and Varsity, he's out in California, and Dustin's out here. He's trying to go back to school and get his life started. He's I think he's 21, you know, and so.
I'm older than Dustin.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it's on you, man.
Yeah.
So wherever you take it.
What's that?
I'll be around though. I definitely will be around. You'll at least get one Deuces Walle a year in Atlanta, at least. Hopefully, I can find somebody to partner up with. And
I think there's some hope. They're out in Athens. Ken Slick just moved out to
oh
Athens.
yeah, Ken's
Yeah.
all right, dude. I love Ken.
And he said like he's like helping mold like that college club, the Junkyard Dogs. So I think they're gonna have an event.
I was part of the
coming up
Junkyard
soon.
Dogs. I was with that when they first named it.
Really?
Yeah, because Doe started that club, and then they didn't have a really name for it.
Doe told me there were some other breakers before he got there.
What? Who are these people? Who are these people?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So I mean, I think that when I went to UGA, I was like, how am I gonna find breakers? And then so I went through all of that Ramsey, and then I remember the day that I found those guys. I found Jeff, Cartson, Bo. These are just guys that I went to college with, and they were all breaking. When I walked up there, they're like, "Oh, we know that guy," because it's so small. It's so freaking small, and that was back in 2004.
Oh god.
So I had flares in 2004.
How many flares you have?
Dude, I could do. I think the top most I did like clean flares was 12. Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, we don't have any documentation or anything. But I Frost can second that. He can say that. But
Jeez.
yeah, I think the scene will be the same, but you do have people like UDEF and Silverback that are helping out.
Yeah.
So if you get one of their sponsorships, which they did sponsor our event one year, which helped a lot. If you can get them to sponsor, that takes a lot of stress off of you. I really like those guys too, the Silverback and UDEF. Those guys are doing a great thing for breaking in the States. So I think it will partially stay the same locally, but I think it will move. And it is growing. It's still getting better and better. But as far as the scene goes, there's so many subcultures and everything now,
Yeah.
Like people are like, I'm into this, so there you go. See you later. You're into breaking, you go and part your thing. So I think...
even in breaking, there's like power and like style.
Yeah, we're talking about Georgia here, though.
Yeah.
We're in Georgia, overall in the United States, it's getting bigger and bigger, but then the rest of the world is like so much bigger. I think, like I've seen videos of people in Vietnam, breaking, and you're like, whoa, these guys are sick.
Yeah.
Like how did they get? So it's interesting to see different.
I went to Korea and that was crazy.
Oh yeah,
they had jams like every weekend. I was just like, I couldn't even go to all of them. And like some weekends would be like Saturday, Sunday. Now we just had that, like we're having that now. Like it's like Saturday and Saturday, but they're not like. It's not the same quality, but it's also because like we don't have as many like OGs here. Because you have like now it's getting to the point where Korea is like their first generation that was like super good. Like they're getting older. And now they're like judging these events. They're like they have their own schools, like the Rivers Crew Studio, Gamblers Crew Studio, TIP, and then like Jinjo, and then like those are the people that are like judging at these events. And like the people, they have like their schools, and you have like the people that are just coming up on their own. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I wish we would have something like that. And don't take the way like I'm pessimistic or anything about it. It's just I think that it's the lack of interest in it. If you don't have, there's not that many people in the scene. You know, like the max amount of people you will get at a jam locally is probably about 200 people. I think maybe 300.
If it's like big.
Yeah, it's a big event. You know. Other than that, you're gonna have to put up UDEF money. You know, other than that, you have to put up some big dollars. You know, because
luckily we got like Tennessee and stuff. Oh, okay.
You say what?
We have like Tennessee,
oh yeah, we definitely have a lot
South
of
Carolina,
Tennessee and
and they drive down some Alabama. I seen Alabama's getting a scene too.
No, it's awesome. I think this culture is just I can't even describe it sometimes. You know, it's like. If you're part of it, then you definitely know what's going on. But if you're not, then you're like, they're just out there spazzing out, you know? And I really enjoy it. And go to other people's jams. Drive around, you know? Go to people's jams. Go outside of your state and see how other people do it. And then come back and appreciate us. Yeah, just kidding. I really enjoy it. Throwing jams is tough. And I'm curious to see what I'm going to do with Deuces Wild, the 10-year anniversary, you know. I'm pretty curious. I'm just, you know, it's going to be a lot of work. But I appreciate you trying to want to help.
Got help this time around.
Yeah. Appreciate it. No, I got a lot of help, man. I got a lot of family that help, you know, like everybody who runs the doors is my sisters, you know, my brother-in-law and my fiance, my wife now.
I always wondered about that. Like,
dude. I don't have. It's all in house.
Wow.
Yeah, they do it for a meal, if that, you know.
I know some people that might be able to help. So I think we should exchange contact information later. You should get to know Kadif because he's from Orlando.
I do know Kadif. He's an awesome guy too.
He wrote a sponsorship for like for Red Bull to sponsor like his club before like they started like doing like before they made the team and stuff. No, he did it to Monster. And like they're like talking with him, like giving him phone calls and stuff. But he caught them at the end of their fiscal year and said like, let's do it next year. But by the time they did it next year, they started sponsoring like UDEF. And so like their money for breaking had already been allotted to that. But he has a whole proposal. It's like 7 pages, and it's really crisp proposal. And he's talking about sponsoring jams because like he's talking about throwing his own jam because like he sees like the dearth of specifically breaking jams in Atlanta. And I think if you two collaborate, that'd be a lot of stress off both of your backs because he's working too. He's in film and he raps. And like he loves breaking, but like rapping is like really like what he does.
He's awesome, man.
Yeah. And I think if you all work together, like if we all work together as a community, especially like the strong organizers, like instead of having like 2 like events like that are both like high stress, you guys have like one like really crisp.
I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying, and I'm gonna take you up on that. Let's do it. Call him up right now.
Gotcha.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'll give you his Facebook, and can you give me Kool-Aid and?
Yeah. I got Kadif's number too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him a little bit here.
Okay. I'm gonna turn the I'll say that's it for our interview with Johnny Lee, so we don't end up giving out sensitive contact information of other people. All right. Thank you very much.